But what do you think happens when they review the minimum wage? And you'll expect that they all have that meeting when the review happens, only for the governors to come back and say, well, I'm sorry, we can't pay.
Well, each time they have this tripartite meeting, the states are represented. What I do not understand is whether the people who represent the states come back to tell the governor that this is what is happening at these negotiations and these are the implications for our finances. If they do that, then the state governments will be building it into their financial planning. But if they just go there and they don't come back and give a feedback, or probably they are even unable to see their governor to give him a feedback, then there will be that gap when the negotiations are finished, and then it comes, the governor realizes the implications, and then he raises his hand and says, sorry, I can't pay this.
Some people have also said, I think it was recently, that the governors too started clamoring for the federal government to shed weight in terms of how much it gets out of the federation account. A lot of them kick because they say that the federal government, or Labour, negotiates with the federal government, as it should, and then the states, which get 27% of everything that comes to the federation account, are also forced to pay what it is that the federal government is paying. How do you think that this can, I know that you've already suggested one particular idea, but what other ideas do you think that Labour and the government and governments across board can get to a midway before a conflict? Because some people are always afraid of this because they think a conflict is inevitable, so that a conflict can be averted.
Yeah, I think actually that if we look at the Nigerian nation as ours to manage, we can actually avert the conflict. The state governors are right to say, okay, the federal government gets a huge proportion of, from the federation account. They also have arguments about some states get derivation, others don't get, They also have arguments about some states have higher internally generated revenue, others don't have. And those arguments make it necessary to say, we don't want to pay the minimum wage. Or to say, okay, federal government, give us more money. However, that's a separate negotiation. They should not bring things into the negotiation that will create problems. If we are talking about minimum wage, you can't, on the negotiating table, bring into it another issue that says, okay, for us to agree to this, you must reduce your share of the federation account. That's a separate negotiation. The federal allocations, fiscal committee that handles that. If they have an issue, they should take that one there.
Is it a negotiation you will support, that the federal government should shed weight?
I think that the federal government can shed weight, but even the state governments, the ones they are getting, what are they doing with it? There is no state, I can be corrected, but most states in the federation today have destroyed the three-tier system of government in Nigeria. What you have today is a federal government and then the states without a local government. I don't know of any state in Nigeria which the local government is operating as a third tier of government. What has happened is that the local governments have become appendages of the states. So what is the state doing with the money? When they claim that they get 27%, that's not true. They also get the local government allocation. And most of the governors are the ones who appropriate this money as at today.
But some of the governors say that the monies for the local government is not even enough for the local government. So they even have to augment what the state, the local governments get.
I don't think that's true.
A lot of governors say that.
They
talk about the instance of, say, primary health care and even primary school teachers' salaries. They say that a lot of local governments cannot pay that by themselves without help from the state governments. Have you heard that argument before?
I hear that argument, but I believe if the allocations are published, what is supposed to go to each local government, you see it. If that money goes to the local government, they can discharge their own responsibilities. But as we speak today, there's no local government.
If the money is conditional now, if the money goes to the local government,
if it goes to the local government,
so you think it doesn't get to the local government?
It doesn't get to the local government.
Because it was only recently we had the Minister of Health here, and it was really shocking to note that the federal government has taken up responsibility of providing the primary health care in almost all local governments.
Yeah. And yet the governors will ask the federal government to reduce its share of the federation account. But my point really is, if we manage the resources we have, we can pay this, at least the existing minimum wage. And then we can negotiate to say, okay, can we increase what we pay? But there is also a point I need to make. And that is the fact that wage, salary, is a medium of exchange. You are exchanging your work for the salary. What has happened in Nigeria is that most people who pay salary, including government, think they are doing the people who earn the salary a favor. But that's not what it should be. And most of the people who earn this salary want to earn the salary without putting in the work. Labor and wage is an exchange. We need to understand the concept of value for money. If you understand that concept and apply it, then maybe development will begin to take place. Because there's so much work to be done in this nation. Everywhere, from federal government to state to local. There's so much work to be done. This work is not being done, and yet salaries are being paid. If you go to government offices, a few are working and working efficiently, but there are very few. Most other government offices, you go there, some of the staff don't even understand why they're there, what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be providing services.
Why is that so? Because yesterday Chamberlain was almost getting to a point of asking the question, why is it that we don't get to see ghost workers within the private sector? And every time we talk about ghost workers, we're talking about the government sector. If a private business really can account for its staff strength, you don't have anyone, injecting someone surreptitiously into your list of members of staff. How come the government that has all the wherewithal within its capacity not know who is who in the workforce?
Government can know who and who is in the workforce if he wants to.
If
he wants to, he can know. Because the people who do this work are like you and I now. They've gone to school, they have skills, they have abilities. But I have a feeling that probably they don't want to do what they're supposed to do because it doesn't help people in getting what they're not supposed to get. If government wants to know who and who is in the payroll, there are avenues to know it. Today, you can use biometrics, you can use BVN. You understand? So you'll be able to know these people, do they really exist? Where are they? Are they working? But again, if you want to also monitor whether these people are working, whether they exist, it's also government workers who are supposed to do it, isn't it? If they don't realize that it is their job to do it and they don't do it, then ghost workers will exist. And that's why I put if.
I'm just wondering though, there's also been a talk of, because a lot of the times this is, this argument is framed in favor of, those at the very bottom, those who actually earn the minimum wage. Do you think that is something that it will be worth considering hourly pay, for instance?
Is a very interesting question. In America, the minimum wage is set per hour. It's not set per month. It's set per hour. And as of today, it's $7.25. Okay. And in America, it is easy to measure the work done by somebody in an hour. If you are hired for an hourly paid job. You clock in when you get to work. You clock in. And when you're at work, you're supposed to work. It's not like here in Nigeria where you'll be at work and you'll be receiving a private telephone call and there's a customer in front of you that you're supposed to serve. You don't do that in very serious countries. If you're at work, you're at work. And your work will be measured. When you clock out, the system tells you how many hours you have worked. If you want to call in sick, you call in sick, your hourly pay you will not get. But it will be difficult for us to do hourly pay in Nigeria because we have not even measured the work that each of us is supposed to do per hour. We have not measured it. So you will still clock in, okay, you've done your 4 hours. Nobody knows whether the 4 hours while you were clocked in, whether you were actually working or you are not working.
It means there may even be more ghost workers in the hourly pay.
No,
they're not properly checked.
Well, okay, it could be ghost workers, but a man who comes to work and doesn't work, isn't that one a ghost worker too? I mean, if you got to work and you don't do the work for which you are hired for that day, you're a ghost worker. When I was in the bank, I used to tell my staff to say, each day you come to work, your output should be 3 times your salary. One part of it goes to pay your salary. The other part goes to provide all the infrastructure in the workplace, including these chairs we sit in, the AC and everything. The third part will have to go to reward the people who have provided the capital to set up that business. If you get to work and you don't produce 3 times your salary for that day, the owners of the business are making a loss. And I think that should also apply to people in the civil service, because the minimum wage we are talking about is for everybody. Every organization that employs more than 50 people must pay the federal minimum wage.
Well, Anchor, on that food for thought, Mr. Anogwi Anyanwu is the CEO of Mind Street Limited. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.